There is a lot of information on the internet. Too much even. There's too much information offline too. In the libraries, wherever you look, there's information. So how do we know what to consume? I guess this is a part of a larger pattern. What do we consume? What should we consume? We all start off just consuming things until we become something that we might not be happy with, and then at that point we might consider, or if we're lucky we might have a smoother road, but this is probably how it goes. Then we might consider thinking about, what should I consume? And over my years, I've tried to figure out a formula on this, and I guess my tip to you would just be to keep it very simple. We can think to ourselves as we are consuming anything, simply, is this empowering me? That is the only question we need to ask ourselves. When we are reading a book, or reading a tweet, following someone's teaching, even eating food, we can ask, sorry, there's a plane here. I'm sitting quite high up in the sky. So, is this empowering me? This is quite simple, but we can really take this to heart. If we are reading a book, and it's an interesting book, it doesn't matter if it is just interesting. Actually, interesting is overhyped, because sometimes when we consume interesting topics, it actually makes us heavier. There's a difference between growing horizontally, right, this way, and growing vertically. So following interesting can sometimes be the path of horizontal growth. And horizontal growth is fine, but there should also be vertical growth. There should be aha moments that let us let go of information that we have picked up. So imagine two people climbing a mountain. The first one, every time he stops, he picks up a rock and then he puts it in his bag. He's not really going to make it to the top because he is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And then the other climber, as he's climbing, he is constantly reevaluating the rocks that he's picked up along the way. And this guy's going to make it to the top. So, empowering information sometimes let us let go of things and information that we don't really think is relevant. There's this intellectual community that put a lot of emphasis on learning complex systems, and some of them can be fun. For example, I studied spiral dynamics for a long time, but many of these theories, the goal with a complex system like spiral dynamics, the goal with the map is to let go of the map. The same with if you're studying healthy eating or diet protocols, whatever that is called. The goal is not to know the whole rule book by heart. The goal is to know enough so we can let go of it. But we have a society of dabblers where we learn a little bit of that, 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 until we just have a lot of surface level information that don't really serve us. We can call this the Reddit fever. Somebody who has scrolled Reddit, learned a lot of what other people think and opinions, but they don't actually know much beneath the surface. We don't want to fall into this trap. when we are scrolling Reddit, for example, it's a good example. We might be learning a lot of things, but is this information actually serving us? At a certain point, if we get used to just learning horizontally, it becomes this comfort zone. So that's not good. We can't really use it. We can't really use this information to rise. And it's the same with fast food, actually. It's the same in pattern. We might go to McDonald's, buy something for 10 euros or $10, and then we might get full. It might feel like nutrition, but it's actually just making us full. There's no nutrition for us to build muscles with. Or we can look at digital information, like social media. That's also fast food in many times. You know, you open an algorithm and you don't even know what you want to eat. It just shoves something down your throat that you know you will watch on average. And it's not really serving you. At this point, you are serving the corporation that fed you that. There's another agenda here. If you don't have your own agenda, well, someone else's agenda might slip through. So I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm trying to show a pattern here. Is it empowering you? Is the pattern. So you see how fast food comes in many shapes. It comes in the shape of food, it comes in the shape of information, and it comes in the shape of whatever you're attracted to. There's usually a convenient and fast food option, as well as a healthier delayed gratification option. And this is what the younger generation right now is struggling with, because, well, if you have an immediate gratification option to the left here, let's say it's TikTok or Reels or YouTube, and then on the other side you have a book, or you have an educational podcast or something else. It's going to be very hard. You have to go upstream in order to get attracted to the healthy option now. The same goes if somebody grows up with eating fast food, like this hyper-processed food, ultra-processed food, then the healthy option is just going to look plain and boring, and we're not going to feel this punch to the gut when we eat it. We don't actually know what health looks like. So this becomes a problem. We need to kind of stop and ask, does this empower me? And then be honest with ourselves, because it's not easy to change behavior patterns, but it starts with the understanding that there could be a change. So actually, right now, to avoid all these fast food options, you actually need to go against the grain here, because normal has become scrolling 5 hours a day. That is now the norm. The norm is to prioritize convenience over health. The norm is not the yardstick we can follow to be empowered. Most people, they aren't really empowered. And a good way of seeing if somebody is empowered is if they complain. It is fine to complain sometimes, but it is a good indicator. So, how do I empower myself? Well, when I am consuming something, like information, for example, I try to be honest with myself. Is this an escape? Am I trying to cope through something? Am I avoiding something? And sometimes I am, and then I can understand what I am avoiding. So again, I have an urge to avoid something. I can go into the in 180 degrees from where I was jumping into this coping from. That's something I could do. But sometimes I also just want to relax. We don't have to work all the time, consume all the time. Sometimes it's okay to relax, and that is something that I'm personally working on, trying to find that balance too. When it comes to food, I also try to be honest with myself. I'm far from perfect, but I try to think, why am I eating? What's the purpose of eating? And well, it's not to be full. The same way consuming information is not to cope or to avoid something else. But the purpose of eating is to give your body what it needs so you can do your thing. Is this food empowering me, or is it making me sleepy? If it is making me sleepy, I try to become better next time. I try to observe which types of food make my skin look bad and unhealthy. It's an organ after all. And then I try to avoid that food. You know, I just make little changes. What empowers me? It's okay to do something that is not empowered. And we can learn from that. The same goes about situations where we find ourselves in. Does this situation empower me? It can be a relationship, it can be a room full of people, it can be a company, it can be any scenario. We can ask ourselves, does this situation empower me? Is it serving me? And then we can be honest about ourselves and learn from that. And try to put ourselves in situations, because after all, in a way, we do consume our environments. In a way. So we're coming back to this saying, it's very simple, is this empowering me? Because when we are empowered, we can actually move forward. When we are not empowered, it's pretty hard to move forward. Then the goal is just to become empowered. Some people call this aligned. Am I aligned? It's pretty close, but it is different. It reminds me of aligned, but aligned is a little bit different. You don't say, am I aligned with this food? You can say, am I aligned with my values when I'm eating this food? But being empowered just makes everything so much easier. Because if we eat food that will give us energy, then we will have more energy to do things. And we will have more energy investing in what makes us empowered. It's like a circle that feeds itself. The same way, if we consume things that disempower us, that hurt us, then we're going to have less energy to do things that empower us, and then we're going to go in a downward spiral. So I suppose the goal is to do things, consume things, be around things that empower us. That will make life easier. And sometimes we just have to be our own big or little brother. No, I mean, we have to be our own big brother. And we can treat ourselves as if we were our little brother. Because sometimes that is a bit more sobering, if we can do that. I have a little field I like to think about sometime. I call it energy economics. If you're reading this, you're probably an adult, and you know basic economy theory. You know that, in order to afford things, you have to make some money. You can invest that money into new things and whatnot. And we can actually use our energy understanding and apply that to energy. Now we have this field called energy economics. So if we have an energy problem, we probably have an energy leakage. We are probably not investing our energy wisely. There's something I call the sock test, where we can walk across our house or apartment, whatever, and we see a sock on the floor, and if we can't muster the energy to pick that up, we probably know that we have an energy leakage. We are probably not doing things that empower us. Because if we were, then that energy would just be, buying something for $1. But if you don't have any money, even something that just costs $1 is going to be expensive, and you're not going to be able to buy it. So you see some people that are like super high performers, they actually have a good energy economics. They are not leaking energy, and they have a buffer of energy for emergencies, so they can, deal with things that aren't planned. They are investing energy into activities that actually give them more energy, like working out, being around good people, consuming empowering things. And they can invest that into habits that take a while to form, but eventually they turn into assets that work for them. This is basic energy economics. I might make a video just on energy economics, but it's interesting. We can continue. The word task, actually in etymology, which is the history and study of words, come from the word tax. So we can use this as part of energy economics. Most people, they wake up and the first thing that they do is they take their task list, 20 rows of tasks, and then they just start paying taxes, and then they wonder why they don't have any energy in their energy economics anymore. It's kind of funny. But we can think of energy economics as just money. It's a currency. We need to take care of our energy, and if we just go by the flow, we will go by convenience. We will go the easy path, but the easy path eventually turns into the hard path, and the hard path eventually turns into the easy path. If you are watching this video and you are not feeling empowered, of course you can begin with these hyper-intellectual frameworks, right? But actually what most people just need to do is just to sleep well, eat well, and try to not to isolate yourself. This is what any psychologist, you don't even need a spiritual guru or whatever to tell you this. If you are leaking energy, you are probably not doing these 3 basic things correctly. Once you have that figured out, you can begin to see where else you are leaking. Because, well, if you don't have if you have holes in your pockets, then we shouldn't really be looking at investments. We should be kind of fixing the holes. Maybe we are in destructive environments. Maybe we are eating trash food, whatever. We might have bad habits. We might have 5 hours of TikTok, and then we wonder why we don't have any energy. So yeah, fixing the holes in our pockets is a good thing to start, and realizing that just because other people are doing it, that doesn't mean that you should be doing it. So I guess where we started, is this empowering me? It's also worth mentioning that just because you have a challenge ahead of you, that doesn't mean that that is not empowering. Actually, some of the most empowering things come from facing challenges. So there is challenges are nice. A challenging life is not what we're after. So there's some nuance here that we need to untangle with personal experience. What is empowering for you might be not empowering for somebody else. So you need to be the one out there testing, figuring out what empowers you, where do you feel like you are aligned, and then do more of that. And yeah, it's about really becoming your own person, recognizing what empowers you, and then aligning with that. Yeah, I think I said what I wanted to say for this video, but it would be interesting to make a video on energy economics, a full video on that. I actually have a Substack post for basic energy economics that I can leave in the description. And if you liked this video and you feel like you know somebody who is not currently empowered and could become more empowered, send them this video. Maybe they will like it if you did. And yeah, good luck empowering yourself. And if you do that, the people around you will naturally also become empowered. So that's a pretty nice side effect of becoming empowered. So good luck empowering yourself and your surroundings. And yeah, nice. Talk to you.